Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unstoppable here on GWTV. You're tuned into Channel 61. I'm Chris. That's Max. That's Andrew. We are the Unstoppable crew, back for our first regular edition of this school year. We hope you've enjoyed our first two episodes, and we're going to please you with a third. 5 sports segments, talking baseball, football, college football. Make sure you stay tuned for the entire show. Race to 3, that winner will be the Unstoppable winner for the week. We're first going to start off talking baseball. There were a lot of good moments in 2010. What was the best moment, the moment that sticks out to you the most? Max?
As the season approaches the end here, we have to recognize that it was such an amazing season for pitchers. And, there were some conventional perfect games such as Roy Halladay and just a lot of other performance, a lot of late inning shutouts. But I think the best moment of the season had to have been what was not, I guess, officially a perfect game, but also almost there. Armando Galarraga of the Detroit Tigers. He was a pitcher that didn't have the greatest record. ERA really didn't stand out in any way, and he pitches this game against Cleveland, who didn't have a great season, but he comes one out within having a perfect game. Jason Donald, I don't really know who he is. He hits a grounder in the 9th inning, and Cabrera fires it to Galarraga, who goes to cover first himself. And Jim Joyce, the umpire, calls him safe when he was really out. And had he been able to look at the replay of that, he might have called a different way. But the main point of the story is how Galarraga handled it. I think most people, 95% of people, I know myself, if that happened to me, I would probably be livid. I wouldn't want to take it out on the guy, but I would be so angry that it's a perfect game. It's only happened, 20 times in all of the MLB history. And so for Galarraga to go out there and say, you know what, that's okay, he's human, everybody makes mistakes. I mean, that's one thing, but he didn't get upset about it at all. And it just shows, the showmanship of baseball players and why it's such a pure sport. And Jim Joyce, the next day, he comes out and he's so sorry about what happens. He recognizes his mistake. He cries at the opening ceremony, and Galarraga just forgives him. It was just such a beautiful thing for the season, for baseball.
Tell me why that's not the best moment in 2010.
I mean, it's a great moment. It's a kind of happy tragedy, throwing a perfect game, getting denied at the last inning, last out. But the year of the pitcher has been amazing. With all the perfect games, Garza, Halladay, Braden, Galarraga almost throwing it. But if you want to talk about pure entertainment, pure dominance, I want to go with Steven Strasburg's outing. Like, rarely do you see a guy come up with such hype and then perform and live up to that hype. And especially when you have the Baseball Tonight crew outside filming live during a day game at National Stadium, it's a big deal, and pressure's on. And to strike out 14 guys, I read that he threw 36 of his pitches were 98 miles an hour or over. He was just dominant, striking out the last 7 pitchers.
Nationals Park was packed. I mean, you don't see that
too often. That's a great story. I also like to throw out a shout out to Trevor Hoffman having his 600th save this season. Also, rarely do you see a record being made, being number 1 in saves, even though Mariano Rivera will probably pass it. But that is still a great accomplishment.
Yeah, Strasburg was amazing. I mean, they were playing the Pirates, but everyone in the baseball community tuned in because this was just such a monumental occasion. This guy had so much hype, and it's unfortunate that he's not in the league anymore. He has Tommy John surgery, and he's going to have to wait a while for the Nats. But he was great. I mean, Galarraga, it's just that shows you the essence of the game, and I think he was sent down to the minors shortly thereafter because he wasn't pitching as well. And so it was just kind of his moment in the sun, but nobody's really going to forget it. And by all accounts, he has a perfect game for me. I mean, it's unfair, and he handled it in the most amazing way possible.
See, but the way Strasburg pitched that night, it sent tremors around this entire city for the first time. In a city that's not really a baseball city, the city knew about it. The city was watching. Isn't that does that make it a big moment because it was kind of a baseball awakening for Washington?
Well, it was. I mean, and I think they're more hurt now because they know how special he is and the fact that he's out. But I think for the baseball community worldwide, I kind of think that the Galarraga thing maybe impacted the whole country more, and you might look at yourself for a second and think, okay, maybe I can be a little bit nicer. If he can be dealing so well with this, maybe in other mundane things I can do that as well.
I mean, I think there were lots of great moments. I think you hit on a couple of them, but I think it's tough to debate that that's not the best moment in 2010. I I mean, it's a story that even made it into pop culture. Everyone was talking about it, even outside and off Sports Center, and it raised even more debates over officiating, which has been a topic of concern for pretty much all sports for this calendar year anyway. I think it's really tough to argue against it. I think Max jumps out to a 1-0 lead with a good topic choice. As well as a good way backing it up and describing the essence of the game.
In the year of the pitchers, anyone else enjoying, though, Jose Bautista hitting everything that is pitched to him?
Yes, it's true. In the year of the pitcher.
Yeah. 54 home runs.
It's ridiculous. The still talking baseball. We're heading into October. It's that time of year. Who's going to win the NL pennant? We've seen most of the spots locked up. The Giants really close to a spot. Who's going to take the NL pennant?
I actually have the Reds right now. Now, everyone's going with the Phillies, but you got to look at their actual season. They had a large part of the season where they were in a huge slump, very limited offensive production, and what you see is the last month where they've won 21 games this month, they have just run ahead. But one thing I don't like that Charlie Manuel is doing is that he's resting everyone on the team a little too much. If they're going to keep this hot streak going, they should be hitting. You know, timing is everything in baseball. You have them sitting down. They're going to come in. They might come into the postseason too relaxed and get out hit by the Reds, who had actually led the NL in all offensive production this year in home runs, hits, runs, OPS. The Phillies are only leading them in triples, and with Votto, Phillips, Roland and Gomes having up years, even though being veterans, it is difficult, I think, for teams to face.
Is their pitching good enough?
I think their pitching is adequate. It's a team that it's a staff that will keep them in the games. You have the big three of the Phillies, and they've been playing all season. Roy Halladay has not been the same as it was. He's been giving up runs, and they're not going to be able to pitch this tired this late in the season to complete games, I don't think. And the thing is, with the bullpen of the Reds is way better than the Phillies.
Is it the Phillies?
Well, I'm going to have to go with the Phillies on this one. I think they've got to be the favorite. At this point, I mean, there's only about one more series left in the regular season, so I'm not so worried about them resting now. And I mean, they've got to be healthy for the postseason. There's no reason to play your guys if they're just going to get hurt, and you already have it locked. But
the Phillies had a lot of injury problems.
And they've had a lot of injuries this season. They were the Braves were at the top of the NL East most of the season. Utley got hurt. Rollins didn't have his best season, but he's a leader on this team, and they've come back from it. And like the Reds, I mean, in the past month, they've totally surpassed the Braves, and they've locked down the East for a couple of days now, if not a week or so. And I think pitching is it's got to be the most important thing in the playoffs. And it doesn't get much better than the Phillies' top three right now. Halladay's ERA is 2.44. They've got Roy Oswalt, a great trade from Houston. His ERA is 2.73. And Cole Hamels, who hasn't gotten a lot of run support, his ERA is just over 3. And I mean, that's a great starting point for the team. These guys are experienced now. Granted, Halladay and Oswalt haven't been in the playoffs recently, and I have to think that they're hungry. They're ready to take a bite out of the postseason. But they still have great hitters on their team. Utley, Howard still had over 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, and they're hot heading into the playoffs now. And I think their experience, having won the World Series 2 years ago, is really going to help them come postseason time. And I think they're going to be the ones to win it.
You see, the whole team though is having down years. Even Howard, who has just 31 home runs, you always think of him being 40-45 hitter. Utley's been hurt most of the season, and Ibanez, Victorino is you think of him as average hitter, your leadoff hitter. He's hitting 260, 250, and he does not have a high on base percentage. See, I know pitching is dominant in the postseason. You have Halladay pitching, it's going to go, but he's leading the NL in innings pitched this whole season right now. And
he's done that before.
Yeah, but what you've seen the last few games is he has gotten a little tired. His ERA's been bumping up, and if he pitches 6-7 good innings, but then you bring in Dennis Baez, Jose Contreras, these bullpen guys who